quite clear. But it's not clear if each of you are prepared to be at the table on each of these issues. We need to get past this point quickly. So I urge you to give a little so that you may get a lot. This week, we've been reminded again that every one of your populations and economies need us to get results here in BELEM. By the protesters in the streets, by the storms that are hitting so many countries, by the prospect of a world that is hotter, poorer, and less healthy, and a human and economic losses that no nation can afford. There is simply no time to wait, so let's get back to work. I thank you.
Thank you, Simon. Due to the late hour, I propose to conclude our work now so that everyone can get some rest tonight and tomorrow. Distinguished delegates, colleagues, Honduras, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Let me speak on behalf of CFRN to make a quick but important point. We need to leave BELEM with a roadmap to reserve global deforestation by 2030. In accordance with the Article 5 and subject to Scaredo support. All parties agree to all these principles to COP28. Given this is an implementation COP. Here is the play, and now is the time. We are working with the parties on a draft decision text, and we welcome all interested parties to collaborate. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Honduras. Distinguished delegates, colleagues, we have a lot of work ahead of us. Let us approach it with the same spirit of optimism, activism, flexibility, and inclusivity that has characterized this conference so far. Before we close, I would like to take a moment to thank our interpreters for their excellent work and continuous support throughout this session. I now declare the meeting of the COP adjourned, the meeting of the CMP adjourned, and the meeting of the CMA adjourned. aberto à imprensa? Não?
Era aberto à imprensa? Era aberto à imprensa? Estava, imagino que sim.
Não?
Estou lá de fora, eu acho, o embaixador está esperando.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's COP30 presidency briefing. Today's press conference is intended to summarize the key negotiation and consultation outcomes of week 1. And joining us today are Ambassador André Correia do Lago, COP30 President, Ana Toni, COP30 CEO, and Ambassador Lilian Chagas, COP30 Climate Negotiator. And with that, I'm pleased to turn it over to Ambassador André Correia do Lago for his remarks. Thank you.
Obrigado, Rubens. Hi, hello, how are you? Could you hear the session? Yes, you could hear the session. So it's very simple, no questions. So we closed the week and everybody wants to go and have dinner in a wonderful BELEM restaurant. But if you have questions about it, I think Anna, Lilian and I are, I hope, ready to answer the questions. It's going to be very short. We all have to leave. You saw that we accelerated the end. So,
we go straight to questions. We can go over to the gentleman right in the front here. I think our colleague with the microphone is on his way. Just a second.
Thank you. Yvon Cohen with AFP. I guess a lot of us are wondering if you could explain more about the purpose of the note. Is this the end of the discussion on the 4 items? Is this meant for the ministers? What's the purpose of the note?
And we can take another question. Can go over there to the, yeah, right there.
Thank you. Just continue your question, process-wise, what can you expect for this document that you're going to release tomorrow? Like, it's going to be evaluated by the parties, you're going to have a next stock-taking plenary for it? Because I think we were expecting this plenary to be the moment to decide on how to move forward with this. And also, you're going to have just 1 week to work on text, because you didn't have this text before. So how do you plan to use this week?
Anna think that I was a bit brief in the beginning. So Anna is going to say a few things about what was translate all the gaveling that we had, and then I'll say a few words about the 4 items.
I'm sure that Lilian can even give more details. First of all, I want to say that we have 116 NDCs today, so 1 more from yesterday, so 116. The second thing, as you could hear if you were there, if you didn't hear, but it seems that the work of the technical work went really well this week. I think negotiators will give more details, Lilian will give more details, but several topics have already been approved by you, so André, doing it, capacity building, least developed countries, empowerment, topics related to administrative and finance issues, adaptation report, anyway, the transaction work. So several topics has been agreed. Secondly, a lot of the topics have advanced really a lot for what we heard. Great topics. There is text on all the topics, which is again shows the speed of the negotiators, and we celebrate that. And it's clear that there is work to be done next week on key topics, response measure, global stocktake mitigation working group, just transition, GGA, gender, technology, but they all advance and quite a bit, so we feel good about that. On the note, I think Andrea is going to mention what does it mean, the agreement, so let us, no, please, go ahead.
Quer dizer mais uma coisa disso? Não? So, on the consultations, they continue, and as you heard, in the past 2 days, we asked the parties to share their visions on 3 issues. No? No, 3. 3 issues. United in celebration of the 10-year anniversary of the Paris Agreement. The second is from negotiations to implementation, Paris Agreement policy cycle fully in motion. And the third, responding to urgency, accelerating implementation, solidarity, and international cooperation. And that's the text I read there. That these 3 themes are meant to structure the discussion without prejudging outcomes, so we will continue. And the exchanges have been really very rich, and so we very much noted what the parties said, so we're going to continue in that line. Lilian.
Hello, good evening. No, just to complement Anna and Ambassador, we passed the second test today. The first test was the opening of the conference with an agreed agenda that happened on the 10th of November, and today was the second test. It's shifting from the first week to the second week with critical material to continue work. As I explained yesterday, we, other than all the decisions that were already approved today on capacity building, on the action for climate empowerment, the decisions on least developing countries, decision on the Article 6.8 of the Paris Agreement about non-market approaches, and also one issue that I would like to highlight, that we will be dealing for the first time within the climate environment, is the issue of the synergies among the 3 Rio conventions: climate, biodiversity, and desertification. We forward for the second week a draft work to be concluded in the second week, and this is the first time that the cooperation among these conventions will be explored. So other than these decisions that were concluded and approved today, 15 of the substantive issues, the substantive agenda that we have before us have been forwarded to conclusion until the end of the conference. And this is a really important outcome, because it's not obvious. You know, there are many views about the issues at stake on adaptation, finance for adaptation, what just transition will look like for countries. all the decisions on finance. So it's not obvious to have agreed texts to continue work. So it was a really successful SBs, really positive technical phase of the process. Now we are entering the political phase, as I said before, and we put forward from the work this past week 15 topics, 15 agenda items with substantive mandates to be agreed, which we hope will be transformed into decisions in the end of next week.
Yes, and by the way, we have to really thank Julia and Adonia, because they did an amazing job as SBI and substa chairs. This makes a huge difference if we have a chair that is really very much committed, and they really did a great job. Now, next week, we are going to have to work in the mutirão spirit. We really mean it. We want everybody to think of what we want at the end and try to build things together in the best way possible, in the most transparent way possible. And we feel that the delegations are very much in that spirit. And you could see that during the session there was a very comfortable reaction to having all this work going ahead in the second week. As you heard also, in the second week we're going to have a series of ministerial pairs that are going to help us with the political themes, and then we still have some technical issues that we're going to work very hard on Monday, but to report on Tuesday. That's what we presented there and was also agreed.
Again, we are all complementing each other just as we go, but we will open to questions. I think if we look at the whole week, let us just do a little balance to where we are now, based on the 4 pillars of the presidency. So the first pillar was the summit, and we had a very, very successful summit before starting the COP. The second pillar was the negotiation, and you just heard the first week ends the negotiation, again, very successfully. The third pillar was the action agenda. We had every day press conferences telling you all the advances that we have seen on the action agenda, on energy, on transportation, on health, on technology. So again, I think we were quite successful on the action agenda for the first time. We have an action agenda, a whole area of the action agenda with the thematic pavilions there. And the fourth pillar was the mobilization, the mutirão. And we saw that the mutirão really worked, both inside of the COP as well as the outside. Today we had a big, march outside. We had the voices of indigenous people. So we feel pretty good about all the 4 pillars. It shows the engagement, and I think the spirit of transparency and inclusion that was given as direction from President Lula to all of us. I think that was very much respected, and also as an engine of the success of this first week. But obviously we still have the second week to go, so let us wait for the second week to see if we can continue it in the same spirit.
We'll have time for another question here on the second row. Please. Yes, thank you.
Hello, William James from Reuters. You mentioned that you have, you're going to publish this note. You've organised the discussions into 3 topics. Is it your intention to seek an agreed form of words under those topics that everyone here can sign up to? In other words, a cover text or similar around that structure?
Take a question, another one on the third row there, to your colleague, Urmi.
No.
Urmi Goswami from the Economic Times. Good evening. A straight question. Four agenda items which you took up for consultation under the presidency. What happens to those 4 items? Is that over? End of the conversation on them? Or are you recasting them into something else? If you can give it to us a little clearly, that would be really great. Thank you.
Yeah. So, the 4 items were discussed under the 3 issues that I mentioned. And tomorrow we're going to publish our resume of the discussion. And then the parties will decide how do they want it to proceed. So we are really doing an exercise that is party-driven. The presidency will react to what they want to do with it, with the text that we're going to publish tomorrow, with the discussions that we had, with the ideas that they proposed. So it's going to continue to be a party-driven process, so not top-down, bottom-up. Then, yeah, it's the same, it was big. I want to take this opportunity also to say that today we had a very interesting ministerial on finance issues that reiterated, and say that in the afternoon we had a very nice discussion, some of you were there, on the roadmap from Baku to BELEM towards 1.3 trillion. That was also, I think, a very constructive discussion with lots of interventions by delegations and by observers. So I think it was really a very interesting day. It was the same, I answered the 2 questions. No, I answered your question. More or less is quite okay. Come on.
And I think we have time for 2 more. We can go over to our colleague in the front here.
I'm Yukako from the Mainichi newspaper in Japan. I have a question about the roadmap for fossil fuel transition. What are you hearing from the parties so far, and do you see a middle ground between parties that are supporting it and the parties that have not yet showed their support?
And we can take 1 more. Okay, we can go over to here in the front.
My question is also about the presidential consultations. From what we hear is that the parties are really far from each other right now. There are a lot of divergent views, especially when it comes to 9.1 and unilateral trade measures. With just 1 week left, how do you plan to have a possible concrete outcome with parties providing such different solutions at this stage?
So, completely different answers now, this time, of the first and the second. First, the second question. If you feel that the parties are far from each other, even more, you understand even more the reason why we need to listen to them and to hear elements that will bring them together. So again, this is the exercise. that we're trying to perform next week. And we believe that we can reach much closer positions. Regarding the roadmap, in fact, the roadmap doesn't need to be supported, not supported, approved or not approved. It is a document that that in the decision, it just says that the presidents of COP29 and COP30 had to present the roadmap. We heard today, I think, very positive comments about it, but also very clear comments that this is not a negotiated outcome, this is not a document that has to be approved, this is not a document that enters into the negotiation as an element that should be taken into consideration. This roadmap was made for negotiators, for delegations to know about all the elements that we could raise during that effort, but I think that one thing is clear, is that we understood, and most of the interventions agreed, that we have an issue with data. We need more data, so we really want to have and continue with Azerbaijani presidency and Brazilian presidency to have a group of experts that will help us to really have better data and have data that can be agreed among the different sides. And I think that this is one of the things we're going to do early next year, very early next year. And we will also organize probably like 3 meetings to discuss data, but it's going to be something of experts that are going to put that together, and we propose to have a report by October 26, October next year. Water. I thought you were enjoying the roadmap on 1.3. You asked on the other one? No, the 1.3. No? So we have to be very clear on the roadmaps. I was talking about the roadmap for 1.3 that was presented extensively this afternoon. The other one, every day we bring the same answer, but now I even have the text here that I can read, what we have in our NDC. You want to hear it? Yeah. Did you ask for which roadmap? Huh?
Fossil fuels.
I was so happy to answer the other roadmap. No, I've already answered that it is related to the Brazilian NDC, and that we have, in the Brazilian NDC, we have a sentence about that issue. So, you want me to read?
Yes.
Yeah? No? No, everybody knows it. It's okay. So, give an answer. Give an answer. Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, I give an answer.
Yeah.
Okay. I give an answer. So the NDC says Brazil will respond to the call to contribute to global efforts under paragraph 28 of the decisions through the policies of national efforts, including those under the National Climate Plan. In addition, Brazil will welcome the launch of an international work for the definition and schedule of transitioning away from fossil fuels in the energy systems in an orderly, just and actable manner, and it goes from that. So, as Andrea was saying, this is already on our NDC, but you're right that today was several meetings related to that topic. I haven't participated, I don't think Andrea was there as well, but we did hear there was a meeting of BOGA, the Beyond Oil and Gas meeting, and that several countries discussed that issue and are discussing a roadmap. That we haven't yet come, at least that we know, on the negotiation topic. That has been discussed. Many countries are discussing this in parallel. In the action agenda, as we discussed it yesterday, we already have transitioning away. There are several initiatives related to that. How and if parties will wanted to discuss that here, they seem to be discussing. If they wanted to discuss that in a different way in the negotiations, it's up to the parties to do so.
Thank you. Please, Ambassador Lilian, want to share some remarks?
It's something that we touched yesterday that I would like to call your attention on. We said yesterday that this is the COP with the largest number of representatives of indigenous people. There are hundreds of them in the Brazilian delegation, and I'd like to call your attention that we did something unusual and very new in our preparation, in Brazil's preparation to this COP, is that we offered a course on international negotiations to representatives of indigenous people. So during the year, they were trained in workshops, in international negotiations, in the Biodiversity COP, and in the UNFCCC COP. There were 29 students from indigenous people in Brazil, and as a result, some of them went to the COP, Biodiversity COP, COP16 in Cali, others went to Baku and to Bonn, and all of them are here at COP30 following 9 work streams, perfectly trained to take part in the Brazilian delegation at this COP. The course was named Kuntari Katu, and it was held in the Brazilian Diplomatic Academy in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs during the whole year, and the students are here acting already to explore what this process can bring to the indigenous people in Brazil. I think that I would like to call your attention. So I would like to call your attention because it's a really good story. For the first time, Brazil's trained indigenous people representative to be part of these negotiations. The name of the course is Kuntari Katu. You have to Google it because I forgot the meaning. Thank you.
Thank you to our speakers. Thank you all for joining us today. This concludes our press conference. Thank you. Have a good night.
Have a great evening and a wonderful Sunday.